The risk of cannabis in terms of adverse mental health outcomes has been shown to depend on the age when the person begins to use cannabis. There appears to be a higher risk for use that starts in early and mid-adolescence compared to use that begins in adulthood. An appealing explanation is that cannabis impacts upon the developing neural networks. Animal studies are in support of this idea and have shown that cannabis has adverse effects on information processing, but only if the drug is delivered during the window of adolescence and not in adulthood. Certainly, and perhaps an even greater extent in higher primates, there is a massive reorganisation of the nervous system in adolescence. And in humans, this reorganisation occurs in parallel with the development of abstract reasoning and the emergence of social, philosophical, political and lifestyle attitudes, indeed the development of the personality. The implication is that cannabis has the ability to disrupt the unfolding of the highest faculties of the nervous system, increasing the chances of future involvement with mental health services. And any long-term impact of cannabis in IQ also appears to be age dependent, and again adolescence is the period of vulnerability. The type of cannabis which is smoked is another factor. Skunk contains high amounts of THC. THC is the molecule which produces the high and also the psychotic effects. Another molecule found naturally in the cannabis plant is called cannabidiol, or CBD for short. CBD is believed to soften the effects of THC, and skunk contains no CBD. This contrasts with old style hash resin, which contains roughly equivalent amounts of THC and CBD. In a recent study from South London, it was shown that patients in the midst of their first psychotic breakdown compared to healthy controls were equally likely to have used cannabis, but the patient group were 7 times more likely to be skunk users than their peers. Our own group has conducted laboratory studies which reached the same conclusion. The strength of laboratory studies is that the molecules can be given separately, so we can give CBD or placebo prior to a fixed dose of THC. The first time we ran this study, we used intravenous preparations of CBD and THC. This graph shows that CBD inhibits the psychotic effects of THC. So participants attended twice. On the x-axis we have time, and on the y-axis we have psychotic scores. These are scores on the PANSS scale, and these rate hallucinations and delusions. At time 0 there's no psychotic symptoms, and this is shown in the graph. At time 30 is immediately after the injection of THC, and you can see that the group that's been pre-treated with placebo show a much higher psychotic response than the group that's been pre-treated with cannabidiol, and by 90 minutes the effect has diminished. We ran this experiment again in a larger sample. This time we gave CBD by an oral capsule ahead of intravenous THC, and again we observed that CBD inhibited the propensity of THC to cause psychosis. Here we can see scores of paranoia on the y-axis and the session on the x-axis. So at baseline people score low for paranoia. After the CBD or placebo, shown in black and grey respectively, there's very little movement in terms of paranoia scores. The bars to the far right show paranoid scores after the injection of THC, and here you can see that the placebo group report a robust paranoia, and CBD protects against this. One of the most well-known effects of THC is that it impairs memory. In the same experiment, it was found that CBD inhibited the effect of THC on memory. If we look at the graph here, the CBD group is represented by the circles and the placebo group is represented by the squares, and this shows memory performance in different sessions. So at baseline, with no drugs on board, subjects score typically or recollect 95% of information that's previously been given. After the capsule of CBD or placebo, if anything, there's a slight improvement, possibly a practice effect. But following the injection of THC, you can see separation between the two groups, so that the placebo group show a marked decrease in memory performance, whereas the group that were pre-treated with CBD, the CBD appears to have protected against the effects of THC on memory. So all of this suggested to us that CBD protects the function of neuronal networks from the effects of THC, whether the outcome is psychosis or paranoia or episodic memory.